What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, and I'm back at y'all with another one. So, let's do a little bit of facts over feelings. I heard the clip. Many people sent me the clip of hip-hop artist, entrepreneur, entertainer, Gillie the Kid, and Wallow arguing with CEO of DHP, Devin Haney Promotions, father, trainer, and manager of First Ballot Hall of Famer, undefeated 3-division champion, former undisputed lightweight, former WBC junior welterweight, and reigning WBO welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who is top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, and Devin the Dream Haney, who is 33 wins, no loss, no draw, 15 wins by way of knockout. Bill Haney and Gillie and Wallow were going back and forth in this clip, right? A lot of profanity. Gillie is animated, right? And they were discussing, as Gillie stated, he got emotional about his fellow Philly native, the Phenom, as I refer to him as, undefeated, former unified WBA, IBF, Ring Magazine, lineal welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, now junior middleweight title contender, Jaron Boots Ennis, who has 35 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 wins by way of knockout. Jaron Ennis got a big fight coming up June 27th at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, as he's going to take on unified WBO, WBA junior middleweight world champion, Puerto Rican star boxer, Xander Zayas. Xander Zayas is 23 wins, no losses, no draw, 13 wins by way of knockout. And so they were going back and forth because they were comparing Terrence Crawford to Jaron Ennis, Devin Haney to Jaron Ennis, so on and so forth. And Gillie goes on the rant because Bill says that 30 of his fights have been against guys who were heavy bags, guys who are tailor-made for his style, is what he's trying to get at. They're tailor-made for his style. And Gillie goes on the rant. What you talking about? What do you mean? Amanda Stanionis was a heavy bag? Amanda Stanionis? Stanionis was a heavy bag? Yes. I commented in the comment section and I said, just because you loud don't mean you're right. And just because you're a fan of the sport of boxing don't mean you understand boxing. It's the truth of the matter. Why? Stanionis is a good fighter. Bill didn't say Stanionis wasn't a good fighter. Never said he wasn't a good fighter. He's a solid fighter. His biggest win was against Errol Spence's mandatory and Butayev. Yes, he's a solid fighter, but everybody knows that the IBF mandatory was Butayev. Right? And with that said, Stanionis is a one-trick pony. He's very vanilla. He comes forward. He's basic. So for somebody of Jaron Boots Ennis' caliber and skill set and talent, yes, Stanionis is a heavy bag. And I heard Jaron Boots Ennis on an interview with Akim Barak say this. He said Stanionis was the boogeyman. That is a lie. Stanionis was nobody's boogeyman. Never have been. Nobody confused Stanionis with being a boogeyman at 147. Never. That was never the case, ever. And Jaron Ennis also said Stanionis, people were saying it's a 50-50 fight. Who? Who in their right mind that understand the sport of boxing believes that Jaron Ennis versus Amanda Stanionis was a 50-50 fight? Only the Jaron Boots Ennis detractors and haters. Ain't nobody in their right mind said that was a 50-50 fight. And then nobody in their right mind was saying that Stanionis was a boogeyman at 147. Nobody. Not a single soul. And this is not, and people will take this constructive criticism and correction as hate or disdain. And I simply don't even care anymore. I could care less. Right? With that said, Stanionis was scheduled to fight Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz signed up to fight Stanionis 3 separate times, excuse me for the balloons. But Virgil Ortiz physically wasn't able to perform. He got sick. He almost lost his life because he couldn't make the weight and he was having issues with his blood. Virgil Ortiz signed up 3 times to fight Amanda Stanionis. Brian Norman Jr. tried to unify with Stanionis, and they wasn't willing to unify with Brian Norman Jr. So what are we talking about that he was a boogeyman in the division? Virgil Ortiz and Stanionis was signed up to fight multiple times. It fell through because Virgil Ortiz's health and his career nearly came to an end. Nobody was ducking Amanda Stanionis. Amanda Stanionis is a solid, good fighter. But he's basic, is what Bill was saying. Yes, he is basic. He's basic. Period. He's a solid fighter, but he's very basic for Jaron Ennis' skill set. And then Gillie goes on to say the silliest things. This is why it's hard for me I'm starting to lose love for the sport of boxing because people just don't understand. Then he goes on to say, well, so Bill said Stanionis is a punching bag. He was standing right in front of him. Gillie goes on to say, so Bill says, is Stanionis skilled? And Gillie goes on to rant. Skill? What about skill? You got this skill? You don't stand in front of a person because they got skill? And Jaron Ennis chooses violence. He stands in front of... Yeah, he does. I've said this multiple times. Jaron Ennis, I seen him perform on defense in training camp and in sparring, and he just don't display it in the real fights. And I said that's a choice. I've been saying that. That's a choice. He can be a slick, but he likes to entertain. He likes to mix it up. He likes to fight. Similar to Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford could be elusive and slick if he chooses to. And there's times he chooses not to. Like he chose not to against the Mean Machine. It's a choice. You see Terrence Crawford versus Victor Postol and Canelo Alvarez, then watch Terrence Crawford versus Gamboa and Mean Machine, Igor Kavalauskas, and watch Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. It's a choice. He chooses this because he has the ability not to. It's like Floyd Mayweather. First fight with Marcos Maidana, Floyd decided to stand in the pocket. The second fight, he chose to move. It's a choice. Yes, Jaron Ennis has that ability to choose. Yes, Stanionis don't. Hello? Stanionis don't have that choice. He don't have that ability. That's what makes him a heavy bag. A target for Jaron Ennis. And or Devin Haney. And or Floyd Mayweather. And or Terrence Crawford. And or Shakur Stevenson. That's what makes him a target. Because he don't have the ability to adjust and move and choose a different style. He can't. He don't have the physical abilities to do so. Then Gillie says, well, I watched Devin Haney and Lomachenko, and Lomachenko was catching Devin Haney because he was standing in the pocket with a skilled fighter. No, he was not. Lomachenko happens to have a skill set and physical attribute that forces you to stay in the pocket. That Stanionis does not have. Vasyl Lomachenko can force you, Teofimo Lopez, force Devin Haney, etc., etc. He can, because he has foot movement, athletic ability, hence the nickname, The Matrix. Hello? So he can choose to fight in different ways that Stanionis simply cannot. So bringing up Lomachenko, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 3-division champion, former unified lightweight, in comparison to Amanda Stanionis is diabolical on every sense, on every level. Because we're not dealing in facts over feelings, we're dealing in emotions. Simple, plain and simple. You're dealing in emotions, not facts over feelings. And when we seen Jaron Boots Ennis, the knock on him started when he fought Karen Chukajan the first time, and Karen Chukajan was moving around and Jaron Ennis was missing wildly and by a mile. One time he even swung a hook and spent around, and Karen slipped the hook and pivoted to his left. Jaron Ennis threw a hook and completely spun around because he couldn't hit the moving target. That's when the criticism started to come in, because he then started to fight a guy who was able to move and fight in different ways, not be one-dimensional. In the second fight, Jaron Ennis was prepared for Stanionis to move, and Stanionis, Karen Chukajan, and Karen Chukajan decided to stay in the pocket, and he didn't adjust to that. Yes, he wins these fights in dominant fashion, absolutely. But the obvious is that he's not making adjustments, whether he chooses to or not. So the first versatile guy he fought in Karen Chukajan, he gave him problems with his movement. Thomas the Loma is not a mover, not at that stage in his career. So most of the guys on his resume are not movers. They are very similar. Stanionis is similar to Roman Villa. They don't have a lot of tricks. They can't go to anything else. So his ability and his skill set being so high and talented, yes, they are heavy bags. They are sitting ducks. They are target practice for him. So what Bill is trying to tell emotional Gillie while he's yelling and screaming, bro, that being loud and emotional don't make you right. You should listen and learn something. Yeah, and this is the problem with boxing. Because Jaron Ennis from Philly and Gillie's from Philly. Oh, my Philly, no, he can't, no, he from Philly. Bro, just listen. And I got high praise for Jaron Ennis. High praise for Jaron Boots Ennis. I just said this with Keyshawn. When Keyshawn fought his last couple of fights, guys were targets. Then he fought a guy that was a mover in Jermaine Ortiz, right? He struggled. He had to adapt. I told you guys he was going to struggle with the movement in the first half of the fight. I was 1,000% correct. I said Keyshawn is going to knock Jermaine Ortiz out in the 11th round. He knocked him out in the 12th, but he dropped him in the 11th. Why did I know that? Because I knew, based off of his opponents in the past, that movement was going to give him problems because he wasn't used to it. Because he hasn't faced that style. But I knew he has the skill set to adjust. And I knew Keyshawn was going to adjust in the second half. It was just going to take him time. And it wasn't going to be pretty. Hence the reason I said I have high praise for him. And that was a C-level performance, in my opinion. Because he should have adjusted earlier. Jaron Ennis didn't adjust. That's why he didn't knock out Karen Chukajan in either one of those fights. Entertaining, but he didn't knock him out. Period. So doing all the rah-rah yelling and all that, it just sounds silly, bro. But boxing allows this, man. But let me know what y'all think, man. You compare, and so when you compare Devin Haney, okay, Gillie, has fought multiple styles. And Ryan Garcia, he cheated, period. And even in the Ryan Garcia cheating, outside of the 3 knockdowns, Ryan Garcia still got outboxed in all the other fights, all the other rounds, excuse me. Devin Haney has fought a Ryan Garcia who has blistering fast hand speed and power and cheated. Devin Haney has fought Vasyl Lomachenko, who is very elusive, very versatile, very skilled at the highest level, and very accomplished. He also went to Australia and fought a counterpuncher who can be elusive, who has good, decent power, in George Kambosos. But he also fought Yuriokis. He's fought Then he fought an athletic, explosive power puncher in Brian Norman. He's fought multiple styles that Jaron Ennis simply has not. That's a fact. Period. But let me know what y'all think, man. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, or one word, I'm gone. Peace.